Hello, Blazor fans. Welcome back to another Blazor Solar Power Hour. Let's show the app on the screen here. We built a dashboard using Blazor, ASP.NET. This is what it looks like. It's got some charts and graphs showing us what is happening with the solar data. It's pulling this out of a SQLite database after it's been logged from the live data. So the live data comes in, gets dumped into a database. The dashboard pulls that database every 3 seconds and displays the information on it. So this is where we left off. We've got a pretty good spot here where we're getting close to, just the simple things like refining the dashboard, making it look nicer, and adding some bells and whistles to it. But I think the real back end infrastructure stuff is kind of done. We're moving towards the front end now. Does that sound about right, guys?
I would say, yeah. We've encountered backed ourselves into some corners, right? And then realized that maybe it's better we do it X way. And that's why we went and moved this MQTT service into a background service that can run all the time. And then any user, any scope can pull data from the database instead. So I think we're in a great shape to take over in the UI view.
Yeah, we initially started by kind of logging the data live from the Blazor component, which required the user to be like on a page, and then multi-tenant wasn't possible. It was kind of confusing, so we moved things around a bit, and now the front end pulls from a database, which is a lot more stable than trying to let a web page log live data to a database. Just the roles and responsibilities didn't seem right there. So we're in a good spot. I think Justin, you're going to do some work today. Not quite sure if we all decided what exactly that is. Did you have something in mind that we want to tackle first?
I don't know. We were talking, just before the show about perhaps freeing up some of this empty space in these tiles and condensing some of this information to one tile. How does that sound, guys?
Yeah, like for example, we've got, let's see if I can zoom it. We've got load power, grid power, battery power, like all these different power things. They could probably be under a single like power panel or something and displayed together, right?
It makes sense.
Yeah, we don't really need like this giant like grid item for for that little bit of text right here. And that'll give us real estate if we want to add some more things as well. And then there might be some code cleanup we find along the way. So let's go ahead and stop this from running. I think that's going to be our starting point there. And then, Justin, when you're ready, I can hit follow on you.
Okay, go ahead.
There we go. And then you are in, or I have open home.razor. So I'm assuming you have that open as well. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
You're controlling the screen now.
Let's see. All right. The delays throw me off a little bit. This is my
the
modern
marvels of the internet.
Trying to scroll down. All right, here we go. I see what we're working with. Okay. I'm gonna go to homerazor.cs and ask a couple of questions real quick.
Hey, Mr. Magoo, add some pulsing animations and let it go live. We do have that skeleton component. That's good for that type of stuff. Add those loading animations in.
So down here, if you'll scroll right, I wonder if it's not showing my whole screen here.
What are we looking for in this view?
I'm looking down for step 3, where we bring in the error items that we save to the database and convert them to chart items. And go over to the right. I think over here, And tell me if I'm wrong. Shouldn't we be bringing in the saved timestamp?
Yeah, I think that might be why I thought the chart looked kind of awkward. There was something I couldn't quite identify, but it didn't look right to me.
Yeah, that's 100% my bug.
Like
Okay, cool.
the chart kept like
I was
bouncing.
like, I don't know how
Yeah.
we're going to show historical data if we're just every time we make one, it's now. I'm like, okay, I don't think.
I thought it looked like it was like rubber banding or something, and I couldn't quite put my finger on it. It's good you found that.
See, that's what happens when you copy paste from somewhere else, because that code is when I'm adding items to the database. So I'm like, oh, daytime now. And just keep going.
Yeah. I had one more issue that I ran into involving this part here. I think this is the battery power is one of the topics that you don't get every time. I'm not sure if this is going to be an issue, but I think I prefer to use convert to double here, because it will return 0 if it gets a null, which is happening to me and crashing.
Nice.
Yeah. So the find last statement.
But let me know if there's a reason we shouldn't do that.
Oh, maybe I'm on the wrong line. Or battery charge level percent.
I
I was
was
thinking
just
the
gonna
one below it.
no, this one right here. Yeah, I was just gonna copy this and paste it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So that find last was having an issue, and it was defaulting to, or I just ignored the null, and that blew up on me. So we have a couple more of those we might want to fix as well. But I put in that it will just default to a 0 string, and then that gets parsed properly. So I just threw that in there to fix it.
All right, so let's do that then real quick.
You know what might even be more accurate is the whole point of this is to get the newest value, and find last might not be 100% appropriate without checking the date. So the datetime should be the most newest data point of that topic instead of the last item in the list. I'm making an assumption here that because it was added last, but there are many different ways that the collection could be reordered or inserted. So find last is just an assumption that the last item in the list is the newest data point.
Right.
So maybe inside the find last, we do equals get the topic, but and date time dot now minus timestamp is the smallest. Does that make sense? How do we check the timestamp that it is the newest timestamp in the entire collection?
So we're doing get topic here, and you have to say that again. I didn't get it the first time.
So right now we have the query, right? Inside find last, the query is only looking through the topics. It says, let's say, for example, the one that you're on now, find the last item in the list that the topic name equals battery power total.
Right.
That may not be the most recent value. The most recent value would be the one that has the timestamp that's the newest. Because this list, right, the items list is what we just queried from the database. So we got this big batch of data that has many different topics, but they all do have a timestamp associated with those items. So let's say at the end of, right after the closing parentheses after, excuse me, battery power total, right, do and d dot topic, d dot timestamp. Hey, do we have a timestamp value there?
Yeah. Yeah, the topic has a timestamp.
Yeah, so the question for you guys is, what would you recommend that we check this timestamp is the newest in the collection? Right, would we do a datetime.now minus timestamp is graded, and like how would you, like we might have to do a separate list here.
Yeah.
So we get a list of all the topics, and then we get the newest one of those. Like, can we even do this in the same query without making it look horrible?
I think we might need
there
a
are ways
helper
to
for that to throw
refactor
in,
it once we get it working.
Okay, so to get it working,
Yeah.
let's do this, right? So after 140, make a new line.
All right, let's get out of this then.
Yeah, this would, yeah, exactly, right? So yeah, we can do it there for now. So var battery power items equals items dot select, and then it's the same query as the one with find last. So you can actually copy paste everything between those parentheses. Yeah, and close that one off. And now in the next line, we do var latest battery power item equals
I think we need
one more parentheses. Yeah, we just need to close off the link query. So parentheses, semicolon. Yeah.
I think we have to value.
No, it's just that we're not getting a value yet. It's just that list of those items. So that's perfect the way it is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Now
Next line.
on this line, we will say var newest battery power item. We'll refactor this after. It's just for clarity, right?
Sure.
And this would be out of the battery power items. So we'll do a link query on that. Battery power items dot how can we find the newest on a timestamp? So it would be, Ed, what would you recommend for the link query on this to get the timestamp value that is the closest to daytime now?
Oh, let's see. So this is going to get converted to SQL. So we have to be careful what we use. What is being saved in the database? Is it a
It's a
date?
date time.
It's a date time.
So yeah, do b dot timestamp.
To get the closest date time to the, well, we'd have to,
We can do
I guess,
ticks max by daytime timestamp dot ticks.
I
So
don't have
instead
a
of
timestamp
where,
here.
ooh,
like, I don't feel like this is very efficient, but I think you'd have to order it by date and then take the last one.
yeah, there you go. Order by date. So what the most important thing first is we have the right topic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Justin, do order by. And then the property will be timestamp. Should be B2 goes to. It's a open, yeah, exactly right. So
It's another link.
I go to I yeah, it looks like IntelliSense is giving you a hard time. So any var name, call it X. Order by, well, we set the
You mean
property.
order by? Are we doing a? I keep trying to.
Abandoned what? Mutex exception? Where does IntelliSense get this stuff sometimes?
So try here. I think the order by is going to.
You're going to have some sort of item. What is this thing?
Yeah, the selector is going to be for the timestamp, but I don't know why the timestamp property is not there. I think it's just a, yeah, it's just an IntelliSense issue that's giving you a hard time.
We got an ordered enumerable.
Yeah, it should just be order by D goes to D dot timestamp.
Maybe I can copy paste.
Yeah, let me send it to you. I just sent it to you in Teams real quick. Yeah, that's right. So timestamp. I think IntelliSense is just giving you a hard time with it, and then close that off.
Yeah, it's probably live share.
Yep. That's actually functionally correct, right? So that's what we want.
Okay.
And then we want the top one in that. So that link query is going to order the dates and then do it in the correct order. And then the newest one, the top one, is going to be the one that we want to get the value from.
So now we're.
I would say just instead of making a new line, do dot at the end of the last line.
Okay.
So there seems to be something wrong with the select statement.
Yeah.
So the select is, since it's using
Right here.
Is it not giving us?
it should be aware. Should it be aware?
Yes, it should be aware.
Yeah, because select is doing a projection. So what you're getting back is a bool.
Yep.
There we go. That's where that error is coming from. And then
so now we can actually copy the where into, like, we can combine these after, right? So after the where statement, we do order by. So you can actually cut that order by command and put it at the end of the where statement. You lost the dot order by. Okay, now this is the item that we're going to convert from. So instead of it being battery powered items, we need to get the, why is it still giving us an issue with the timestamp?
There we go.
Okay.
there was a capital S, I think, in timestamp earlier.
Yeah. User error.
That's why IntelliSense is so helpful. When it breaks, it goes off the rails. I'm going to move this down just so we can see it a little better.
Yep. Now at the end of this, we do dot last.
Right.
Last or default if we don't want an exception.
Do or default.
Okay, so the variable can now be, what did we use before? Battery power. Yeah, so instead of var battery power items, you can comment out 141 and use that variable name for the equals. So yeah, comment out line 141. Now change the variable name, get rid of the var, whatever. That is just going to be battery power equals.
Gotcha.
So that's basically what I was trying to achieve there, right? So we want to get the newest item from that collection.
We're going to have to get the property off of it, the value property, right? Or no?
Yep. So you do the null accessor value and then the fallback. Same thing we do at the end of 141.
Keyboards don't work when you're live streaming. I'm just going to tell you.
Nope. Yeah. And fallback. We're doing this.
No, you had it right. Just do the, because we want to return 0, right?
Yeah.
If it's not there. So you do, exactly. And then a 0 string. It'll be a string value.
Is this an int? Oh, okay, it's a string.
Yeah.
That's why we're parsing battery power next. So with your switch to convert to double, we'll always have a 0 or we should have a value.
All right, cool. We feel good about this. We want to try it real quick.
Sure.
Should we?
And we might have to wait a few seconds for some data to come in too, because I think we fixed, or you fixed the chart date stamp thing.
Yeah.
And that takes a second to actually start moving along. But let's see. Looks like battery level, load power, grid power, battery power, everything looks like it's working. And then how long does this one take again? It's like a couple ticks, right?
Yeah, that's another thing I wanted you guys to hopefully fix up is that since we have the database here and the query only checks for 2 minutes, like the last 2 minutes. So if the service hasn't been running for 2 minutes, you have to wait a few ticks for this to build up. So maybe we can do a query for longer than that. But I imagine if this app is running in production, there will always be data for the last 2 minutes.
Yeah, I think earlier it was the bug that Justin fixed that was causing me problems because I collected a bunch of data and then I opened the app up and it was still kind of wonky.
Yeah.
It was like
We also in the chart we have the x-axis, the date axis. We have it hard coded to minutes, which right now I think it would be more appropriate to do seconds. I think we're only collecting 2 minutes at a time here, or a couple minutes.
yeah,
Can we let
something
it
weird
do it
about this
automatically?
axis.
Or it has a fit property, I think, so it could.
So this is power, right? Obviously. What is this axis? Should be time.
Yep. It
Okay.
should be timestamp.
Then what's that?
Right.
What the heck is that?
This is minutes and it's the long for seconds, as far as I know, but I don't think it's accurate at the moment.
Yeah, something's not. I don't think something's right here. Well, there's data there. We hover, there's data. It still hasn't updated yet, though. It's
Yeah, so if
weird.
it sets the minutes, we have to wait a whole minute for it to get another tick.
Okay, so instead of sitting, watching, and waiting for that, I'm going to hit stop here. I'm going to hit run, but without debugging, so it can run in the background, and hopefully.
Can we let it do the ticks automatically? Like, don't set it to minutes or hours, and it will automatically
there
choose
it goes.
based on what it has for data. Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we can look at. Oh wow, that's working really well. I don't know why it was stuck before, but we need to figure out what's going on there. That doesn't look right. 27.
That looks
50,
like
53.
the minute or second representation of the date timestamp.
So let's see. I don't know if you want to drive this, then I'll follow you again.
Sure, go ahead.
I think we're
All
both
right, so
headed to the same place.
Yeah, this chart category axis labels the format right here is where this is coming from.
Oh, get rid of that. It should be.
Napalm Codes just joined us. Thanks for watching the show.
But perhaps more importantly, we can do a fit here, and it'll just show what it thinks is the most appropriate. So as we're running it, it could change, depending on how much data it gets, and how many x-axis is going to show, how many data items. For the format, what do you guys think? Probably not.
So this is another architectural thing, right? So we normally in such a dashboard, you have a selector that says, I want to see the last 24 hours. I want to see the last 10 minutes. And that would determine what the chart would show. In our case, we know we're doing the last 2 minutes all the time in this first release of the app. So it would make sense to show our minute. So what is that? Capital HH, lowercase mm.
Yeah, it's still showing weird. Well, is it
something like
that? Let me try this now. It's still showing something weird.
The numerical value of our, nope, that's not, 29 is not an hour.
I guess in all fairness, let me try.
What if you take out the format? Oh, seconds is still there.
Is that, yeah.
And there shouldn't be a space after that.
Oh, it's somewhat working now. I think if you remove the seconds, it'd be good.
Yeah, it would look better. Yeah.
So, save.
All right, we got them out.
And then
the HH is the
hot reload is working today, guys. This is awesome.
Yeah, I'm seeing that. That's nice.
Hey.
Maybe it was that last update they pushed. That was an update on Visual Studio yesterday. That looks a lot better.
Nice.
Is this just me, or should there be, maybe it's just like the graduation settings, like, should there be a line there? It looks like it's drawing like half off
in
the
between the ticks.
axis.
Yeah. I think there is a rendering mode setting, right, that says on tick or in between tick.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
That's a good
maybe
question. I
there's
have to
something
look.
there.
You can set, of course, the ticks, the major and minor ticks, and the distances between them.
And Napalm had a question that Justin, maybe you can help answer. The question was about map components. It seems like none of the component vendors have support for Google Maps.
Oh, really?
I think
Um,
we have support for like map data, like of any type, I thought.
That's the
Maybe
right answer.
maybe
Yeah.
Google Maps only provides the map component itself, but like the underlying data, I think we have support for like anything that supports like a certain interface.
right.
We got to think about the map layers, right? So there's a visualization layer, there's a tiles layer, and then there are marker layers.
Right.
You might be able to go and get the tiles from Google, right? And put that in your tiles layer. But these are different layers that work together, which is like you get that data from ESRI, for example. And in order to have something for Google Maps, an entire layer has to be made specifically for that. For example, this is a shapefile, right? Which is how most maps are created. The shapefile defines those lines around each country on that XY grid.
There's some
Nice.
file layer.
Hey, unfortunately, I don't think I have anything to add to that, Lance. I haven't I had the opportunity to play with their map
You can open
component
a
very
feature
much.
request, but why the main question is why don't any of the vendors do this? Is because it's a concerted engineering effort to add this feature to it. And where's the value? I think, open a feature request and see how many requests, and the devs will definitely review that.
So this example, and I think all of the examples we have, default to OpenStreetMap because it's like it's free to some extent. So we can put demos in place where people can just run it and not have to have a subscription for some backend API.
Yep.
So that is the go-to default usually, I think, for most vendors, including us. I don't know if there is a specific demo for a specific service.
Well, you could use this
Here it
demo
is.
with Google Maps tile service, right?
Yeah.
It's the same approach.
These images are requested from third-party services that conform to the tile map service standard. So if it has the tile map service standard, then it is supported. So I don't know what Google uses. So that would be the question.
Yep, Napalm. You look in the Google Maps API and see what they have for tile endpoints.
Yeah, I think at least that hopefully it gives you a place to go look, puts you in the right direction.
You can stop pulling your hair
Right.
out now.
It's a great question though. Maps are very complex. They're kind of difficult to grok. Let's see. So we fixed the chart, the way it was like displaying the labels. Did we find something with the ticks in the settings?
Well,
I'm
how
looking.
often does the timer go? Every 3 seconds.
Yeah.
So we know, I guess that's why the seconds label was there, because there's going to be 20 ticks for every 1 minute. You divide 60
Okay.
seconds by 3, right?
So we're going to end up with a lot of lines.
I have the collection set to a maximum of, I think, 125 or something. So that makes the chart move in real time. So it keeps chopping off the oldest one.
Mm-hmm. We could adjust that down if we thought that was necessary.
We're not drawing the horizontal lines either. I don't know if that. I mean, it all depends on how somebody wants to see this. That's all. Like we could turn those on and off if we wanted to.
Yeah.
Do we want to tackle something else? Are we good with this one?
I think for now we could play with the ticks later.
Yeah, that sounds good. What's up next?
I guess we should go ahead and do what we talked about at the beginning here today and go ahead and stack some of these up. Which ones do we think should be in the same?
I'd say group all the
same card.
powers together. We've got grid power, battery power, and PV power, and then the other like the widgets, the charts, and the gauges can stand alone. We can kind of consolidate the powers. They're all power values, so you might as well just throw them all together, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Blazor Mr. Magoo asks, what is the battery power measuring? We could probably be more clear with the naming there. We have a lot of battery level, battery power, battery.
Yeah, so battery power
percentage.
is the wattage going into and leaving the battery. This can change whether the solar panel is charging the battery or if the battery is powering the house. That all is balanced based on the other values. So we look right now, the solar panel power is generating 600 watts. The house uses 557. There's only a little left over going into the battery. Oh, now the house needed a little more, so it pulled it out of the battery because the solar panels couldn't cover it. Yeah, it would be better to see them all in a vertical array so you can see the relationship between them.
Yeah. So should we name that card power values, or
it's not necessarily a delta, Mr. Magoo. It's a delta against the house, but it's a sensor on the battery that detects how much real wattage is going in or out. So if we want a delta, we can add a delta between one of the other things like the solar panel and the battery, or the house and the battery, and then we can see a delta there. Power flow is a good one. Yeah. So we could say you can put wattage at the top of the tile and say power in watts, and then underneath you can say flow.
Sorry, I was just tinkering while you guys were chatting there.
Yeah. This is good. Like, how do we make it clearer that when it's negative is doing this thing, when it's positive is doing this thing, or
this is a string. Shoot. Where
battery power value is
the and then I thought there was a shortcut for checking negative these days. Maybe I'm thinking of a library or something I didn't add on.
Oh, absolute would always give you. So, well, what are you trying to do?
See if it's negative. I guess you could
say less than
zero.
Yeah,
the old school way. I'm overthinking it. So if it's negative.
Yeah, if it's negative, battery power is leaving. It's positive. Wait, do I have that backwards again? No, if it's negative, power is powering something else. In this case, the house.
I was just tinkering while you guys were answering that question. Because we can take the symbol here and come on, nice. We have an emoji for a low battery or a red battery. Oh, it doesn't show it in here. It'll show it in the browser, I hope.
We'll find out.
Yeah, we'll find out if the power fluctuates while we're live here. Oh, no, I did it backwards.
Oh.
But at least we know the emoji works. There. All right, so you were going to work on collapsing these cards. There we go.
Sure.
Back to normal there. So we've got several tile layout items. just on my screen collapse them. You might have to hunt and peck for them on your screen there.
What's the equivalent of a vertical stack panel?
Power, battery power, battery level. Collapse that. PV power.
I think I need to reconnect to the live share.
Okay, so we got battery level is kind of stuck in the middle of some of these, and then the rest of them are somewhat in an order here. I'm going to rearrange these for you because I think I can see it a little bit easier. And then when you reconnect, they should be somewhat by each other anyway. Let's do that. And then percentage.
I'll be right back, guys.
I'll move percentage out of the way. So I'm not breaking anything while I do this. So the first 4 items should be the ones that you want to consolidate.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
I'm having trouble reconnecting. It's
oh, shoot.
It keeps failing.
You could just I'll be your hands if you want me to.
Sure.
So we have 4 tile layout items. We want to bring those into one.
Yeah.
The first thing
I
we probably want to do, just to make our lives a little bit easier, is to
give it a meaningful title.
Yeah. What do you want to call the header? Just call it power for now and figure out something in a minute.
Yeah, I guess so.
And then I'll copy these here. And then what are we going to put inside of that content? So we have 4 items here.
I like to use, we have a nice stack layout component that is easy if you're not super confident in your HTML and CSS. As you can set the spacing and the
and we're already inside of
properties.
Like one type of layout. Might as well use the other one too.
Yeah.
So you want the Telerik.
Stack. It's just called the stack layout, I think.
Stack layout.
Yeah. There you go.
This is similar to like using Flexbox or something, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And is there a content or template or something underneath, or is it just inside the stack?
Inside the stack, you just include each content area in its own div.
Okay, so just divs like that?
Yep.
Okay. So each div, I guess, is going to get the flex box layout applied to it.
Right.
Flex item. Div. I don't know why IntelliSense is trying to butt in there. There used to be a nice way to do this. Like you'd hit like a couple keyboard shortcuts and it'd say surround with, and you could select div. And like I think they got lost in one of the revisions of Visual Studio, and it made me sad. Like you could just do this, and it was like Control K S or something like that, and it would surround it with whatever you typed. But for some reason, we can't have nice things, and we're going to use IntelliSense to generate a bunch of stuff that doesn't apply. Maybe we could ask like AI, like surround these items with a div. Just be ultimately lazy. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It keeps trying to do something with IntelliSense. I have a feeling there's something missing because it doesn't want to format correctly either. But let's try to save it.
Do you have the end tag to the stack layout?
Is that what it did? It didn't.
I think.
No,
it is.
There. It's in the wrong
We
place.
still have everything in it. Yeah.
It's still not formatting out. Like this isn't indenting properly or anything. So it doesn't like something. Let's see how it renders.
Yeah.
So it compiled okay. Okay. So they're rendering side by side instead of
Yeah.
stacking.
So we'll change the orientation, which is the property, in that stack layout tag.
So this is going to be
Orientation.
oh, there it is. Let's look at
Yeah.
right there, and
It's
then
stack layout orientation. There you go.
horizontal. Save that, and then
See if
every
hot
render.
reload was working.
Ooh.
It did not hot reload correctly, I don't think. Let's try a refresh. Nope. And then if that doesn't work.
What did you say? Orientation vertical?
Oh, yeah. Is that what I did? The wrong one. Thank you.
I think.
Yeah, I just typed. There we go.
Hey, nice. And let's see what other properties we have here. I think we can space them out easily. There's a spacing property.
So we've got horizontal. Oh, there we go. Spacing. And then this can be any string value because it's going to be representing a CSS unit of
Right.
measure. So it can be like an EM or pixels or whatever.
Your percentage.
I generally try to do EMs myself. Usually those turn out pretty good. There.
Hey, that looks nice.
That was just a shot in the dark. It worked out perfect.
Yeah. I like it. Lance, what do you think?
I think Lance had to step over. Oh, he's back.
Yeah, I'm back now. Yeah.
He snuck back in.
Yeah. Yeah, it's your two choices would be increase the spacing or increase the size of the font, but that's completely legible, right?
Yeah, that looks good. I like the amount of white space too. It gives your eye enough rest between each one, but not so much that you can't, you can still compare them.
So that second gauge, the battery power, we're kind of duplicating efforts here. The original idea was battery level belongs in a gauge, which is a percentage. Battery power is being represented on the left as a wattage. So I think we really don't need that. It's kind of experimental. It would maybe might have been a warning that says, "Hey, you're getting too close to the maximum power," but we could do that on the left if necessary. What's more important as a gauge is the battery level, which looks incorrect right there. That should be 0 to 100.
Not 1,000.
Right. Or negative. Like, there's no negative percentages. Or we would have found dark matter.
There was a reason we set this up for negative. I can't remember what it was because I remember we tried to use like a power or not a power. What are these things called? We tried to use one of these gauge items for it. We had to use the there. It just went negative, didn't it?
Yep, it's going back and forth.
It went slightly negative.
It's easier to see with the icon that you put in that changes.
Yeah. So there it goes negative again. Battery level is going up and down.
Oh, something's wrong there. Yeah, it might be tied to the wrong property.
Oh, okay. Is that what it is? We get the wrong value in it. So that would be, let's see.
Let's look at the
power
data
gauge.
Yep.
And then battery level gauge. Battery level gauge is battery power value. Isn't that the same? They're both battery power value.
Yeah, so that should be battery level. What property do we set for that?
We don't have one.
Well, let's look back at the code that we're parsing the database values. Pretty sure there was a second one in there. Battery charge level percent. That's the one we want.
Okay, battery charge level percent. So we have that being written out to the arc gauge already.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So we're kind of
So,
duplicating things there.
yeah, battery level, I think, is the same as this one.
It's just the wrong title for that tile. That should be wattage, right? Battery power. Because whenever we say power, it means wattage. Level is percentage.
Okay, so these two are swap titles. This one should be, oops, the wrong one completely. Not making this any better. Like that. Is that better? Did it change? Did it update? Yeah. Yeah, that's one. That one's battery power. Then, boy, this one.
And the gauge to the left of it is the same value, but we're just representing it in a different scale. I think we just did this to see which one renders the data in a more understanding way. Battery percentage is in the arc gauge, which makes complete sense. We could do it in arc gauge or we could do it in a linear gauge. Those two are bound to the wattage coming in and out of the battery, and that's correct. The one on the left should also be called battery power, I think, right?
Which
They're
one?
both battery power, but one uses a different scale, and the other one, like the one on the right, can go negative. And we first tried the one on the left, but realized it doesn't go negative, and it's not the best way to render it.
So what do we need to do?
Should we just lose the battery level tile?
Yes, yeah, that's what I think.
Battery power, battery percentage, battery level is here.
Well, that's a linear one on the left. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Comment it out and see how it looks now.
So Mr. Magoo says it was Shift Alt W that was surround with a div. We don't need this huge tile for that. There we go.
Is that now the default layout? Because we've changed tiles, and if someone didn't have,
Yeah, so we're managing state on this one. We probably need to add a button to the toolbar that lets you clear and reset the tile state.
Yeah.
So it's
Good idea.
saving. Yeah. It's saving to local storage, which you can see on the save state. So we grab the state from the tile layout, and then we set that item to local storage, and then we load it to get it back. And then we need a button in here on our toolbar. So we have our toolbar. We could say toolbar separator or spacer. And then that'll give us a little space between this button, and we can say toolbar button on click clear tile layout. And then we could just put, oh wait, is it icon? There we go. And then what is the helper for icons? Is it SVG icon? There we go. Trash. We can tidy that up if we want later. And then, yeah, we need to stop this from running because it's trying to hot reload. The unclick, we need to add an event. And this one is going to be an async task as well. Task clear layout. That's what I called it, right? Clear tile layout. Yeah. And then we need to do await local storage. And then it is, so there's two ways we could do this. And I think we need to remove item async. There's a clear async and a remove item async. Clear will clear all the local storage for this page or this website, I think. So there could be other keys that get nuked in that process. We don't want to do that. We want to remove an item, and that item is going to be the
Local storage key. We set in a variable, right? Yeah.
local storage key. And then when that's gone, we need to also take the tile layout instance. And like the tile layout and the grid have different APIs for this. And this is the only time that I ran into an issue with like the state APIs and in the components here. So tile layout instance dot set state null.
Okay, and that'll go back to what we defined in the markup.
Yeah, and then state also. Oh, I guess that was removed there, so it should be fine to do that because we're not keeping it anywhere else.
And if it
If
tries
you
to load
do
it,
null on the grid, I think it blows up. If you set the grid's layout, like the data grid, it has a state, a get and a set state API as well. This one will take null. I think the grid is the one that doesn't allow nulls. It will blow up. If you try to put a null in there, you have to set a new grid state item or something like that, an empty one.
makes sense.
So just keep that in mind. If you're doing this on different components, the APIs might differ slightly.
So if we try to clear, we should now see what the default setup is. And then we might need to update that.
Oh no, this is the one that doesn't take null. I got it backwards. So we should probably go, unless you know off the top of your head, Justin, we should probably go to the docs and look.
Yeah, we'll have to look.
So we want the tile layout, persist state, and then I don't know if it's in this sample or not. We can look. So there is a save, a load, set explicit state. They don't have a clear one in here.
Well, if we look at the parameter for the set state method, it should tell us what type it accepts, right? And then we can pass it a new instance of
It's
that.
a new tile layout state. And I think you can just throw that empty object in there and then it will be okay. Or the grid one, I guess, is the one you can set just to null and it'll figure itself out.
Well, that's good feedback for the team. We'd say, hey, if it null is being passed, then we should internally set it as a new state object.
So this is the default. We could test this by taking one of these and stretching it and then hit clear again. And nope, it didn't do anything. It's not failing, it just didn't do anything. It should have. Here, let's try moving them around. No, that's not.
Well, it did just do it the first time. So maybe this is an order of operations issue.
So if I move that there, refresh, power's back there, clear.
Nope.
Okay, so it's not doing, it should be doing a state has changed because I'm clicking clear layout. Is there something I need to call to make sure it re-renders? I don't remember having to do that. Clear tile layout, set state, new tile layout. I just did a demo of this too. Let me see if I've still got that code.
Maybe the new tile layout object needs some default values. And this is a button click, so you don't have to worry about updating the UI.
Shouldn't have to.
Yeah.
Let's see. This one is called. Where did my demo go?
Before you got into this, I was going to suggest you can
There we go.
set a default, row and column span for the tiles if you want one to be bigger than it automatically shows.
Yeah,
on
that's
that
what
first initialization.
Yeah, so without them setting anything, we should have probably that middle tile be the horizontal item that we did, so it doesn't have that space on the right.
Yeah.
So it looks like I used new, and then I have a default state. There it is. So you have to do this.
You have to give it some parameters there.
Yeah, you have to be a little more specific about what you want it to do.
That's probably why null doesn't work.
Yeah.
It was intentionally designed that way.
So what you have to give it is, so I'll just drop this here. New is an array of item states. It has to be called default. Why is this? Oh, shoot.
We only need that inner part, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Layout state. So that one I dynamically took it from everything that could possibly be shown in that. There's not going to be an index. So this would be 0, I guess. Order. What is it doing? It might be an array of these. Tile layout state.
Item state. So it's a tile layout state and not tile layout item state.
Oh, because there's an array of tile layout items.
Inside. Okay. Yep.
Yeah, that's why I had this before. So this is taking some array that I had and converting it.
Well, you can just do a new array with that just being in the first index, right? So new array, and then the first item in the array is the tile layout item.
Yeah, but so I think you might actually have to have, it might be easier just to hard code this one, because what we need is, let's see, let's do it this way. New, and then item states. Is it new again? And then we'd have to add 4 of them in here. So we got 4 items, right? I think how to write this out so it's not.
Yeah, I'm not following this. I think, right, the top value is tile item layout or tile state, layout state. And then tile layout state is an array. And inside that array, we only have one item of tile layout item state.
Just trying to find that original code again. Where'd it go?
Page roots.
So tile layout item state is an array of, yeah, let's give it this. Yeah, okay, got it. We can actually do it right here. So the default state, we want to have a new array of tile layout state items. Oops, So we new up an array, and then we new up an item. And then each of those items has items.
Oh, that one should be an item state, right? Because it's an
Yeah.
array of item state. Yeah.
Here, let's do it this way first. We can always go back. So new up this. It's an array. Let's see. Let's start it off as a list. Because we don't have we don't have these in any kind of array already. And that's what I did in the other app is there's an array of items that I'm just like mapping. So our default items and then default state. Add, and then a new item here. And then it should have, there we go. That's what I was trying to get to. So it has an ID, an order, and column and row. So what you would do is take, say, like this tile. So we're going to have 4 of these.
I think it's a 1 by 1.
Yeah, everything is set to.
But don't we want the default state to have that second tile be 2 columns?
We can. We could do whatever we'd like here. So
Something like that, right?
That is the default.
Yeah.
So the first one would be ID is 0, column span 1, order is 0, row span is 1. And then we can just duplicate this and just change values.
Can we do a little hack and put a breakpoint on 61 and copy the value out of the state object?
Copy the value out of the state object?
Yeah, like you put a breakpoint on line 60. And then when you click the save, when you change the size, you can hover over it and copy all the values out of the breakpoint. It's only 4 tiles. I mean, better to do it by hand, I guess.
Yeah, we could do either. So I see what you're saying. So what you could do is new before we remove it, or we could get the state. Where's the?
No, I don't want to interrupt what you were doing. I just meant as like a temporary. You put a breakpoint, you hover the cursor over it while Visual Studio stopped at that breakpoint, and then you look at the values and we'll put it where you had it.
You could do. You got me thinking though. Tile state.
Uh-oh.
Tile layout. Whoops. Tile layout instance. Get state. Dot. This item states the. Let's see. So I list. Select, and then we could probably like change the, because they're all going to be just, well, if you want to set the middle one, if you want to have something other than just set them all to like a known default, like a basic default, but if you want to actually go in and change the row span of the second item, you need to do it like this.
But each one of these tile layout item states is for each tile. So the ID would be first tile, the second tile would be 1. Then we make that column span 2.
Oops, yeah.
Row span 1, yeah. And then the third tile will be 1, 1 again. And the fourth tile is a chart that spans all the columns.
ID is not assigned to.
Maybe you don't need the ID.
Is it read only?
Yeah, you've got the order.
And I guess the fourth one, the column span would be what, 3? Does it need to be to array?
Oh yeah, that's what it is. Default state. Then I hit Control Z too many times.
I think the column spans 4 if we want it all the way across.
Is
Oh, we have 4 columns.
4?
Yep.
Yeah, we've got it set to 4.
Ah, come on. What is?
But you could have however many columns, of course.
Well, you can use an array initializer, which is just new open close parentheses brackets instead of curly braces, and then just paste each new item in there.
I was trying to do it that way to begin with, and I couldn't quite get the.
Yeah, it's brackets instead of curly braces. Because it's an array, you got to initialize. Yeah,
that's what I was doing.
There you go.
New array, and then this,
and then commas. Boom.
Can't do an array like that. Oh, it's new without the right.
And then we just get rid of default state add, and it should create a new item for each.
Valid rank specifier.
But shouldn't you remove the list first? Because I don't know if IntelliSense is giving you the right information at this point. Right, so default state dot add, move those from each line.
Oh, the adds.
And then last parentheses, and then IntelliSense will know what you're trying to give it. Not there, but at the end of each line, like after the last curly brace. That parentheses is from the add method. That's not there anymore. Not the bracket, but the parentheses.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. Now what problem do we have? Maybe we need a constructor after new.
No, it didn't like that before. Can't new up an array.
Yep. Or
there's no target type for new. It has to be
just
new.
Array.
Do we need the? Oh, yeah, maybe.
Do we need the actual type in there? It's funny, right? We do all like the complicated stuff easily, and then when it comes to the simple stuff,
I know. Let's see. Let's do this. Let's cheat. Where's it at?
There you go. You got this, Ed.
It's Alt. There we go. Out and state. Jeez. Let's see what it comes up with. There we go. That's the syntax we were looking for.
Oh, so it didn't know the type of the array.
Nice.
It's interesting.
Good Lord. So we didn't need the parentheses here, and
so
I had everything in the braces.
Yeah, it's just a type end of new. Because it didn't have a constructor .NET, didn't know how to tell what type it needs to be. So if it's an array, you're kind of stuck.
So, oops. Item states equals that. Right?
Yeah.
Jeez. Copilot to the rescue. Oh man, how embarrassing. It's always that type of stuff that catches me when you've got all these different delimiters.
But this is why I think it's important to live stream stuff, because it doesn't matter how many years experience you have, it's your mind is preoccupied with other stuff, and the simplest things can hold you up for 10 minutes.
So we move these around a little bit, and we need to check on the how many cells across this was too. Is it 3 or is it 4?
It looks like 4 columns, yeah.
Clear layout. Yeah, because that one only went 3, so it is 4. Justin said it was 4 earlier.
The height of the rows looks kind of weird too.
Oops. Yeah, we can change that. I think we auto hide the thing. So if we go, I think we're about at time too. So yeah, there was 4 columns, and then we didn't specify a height, so it will auto choose a height.
Okay. We'll worry
So
about that another time.
Yeah, if we specify a height, we would come back and probably set some spans on that array. So we would have some row spans to make sure, like, the big chart is tall. Right now, I think it's giving it each of them half of the screen height.
Yeah.
If we come in like and initialize the page smaller, maybe that's too small, but maybe like that. Oh, that's going to reset it every time. But that's still pretty big. I thought it divvied up the size of the screen.
Maybe up to a certain minimum point.
Well, this I think is a set height pretty much because of all the items in it. So maybe it's based off of the item content.
Yeah, the tallest row becomes the height of each row.
Yeah. So it's at least going to be as big as that. But the clear layout works now, except that didn't go 4 columns. Why? Let me try reloading it.
We set it to 3. You
Oh, it's
the
still
column
on.
span is.
I fixed it though.
No,
I
that's
put
the order.
Oops. Boy. My eyes aren't working today.
I need to give mine a break.
Great question, Mr. Magoo. Do you think the Copilot will be useful to component vendors? Still very much in early stages. It's a very tough question to answer. In the long run, my opinion is yes. In the short term, there's a lot of things that need to happen before it's useful to us. So that's something that we are talking to folks behind the scenes on, and I'm probably not privy to say much more than that. But it's like one of those new technologies where it's constantly moving and everybody's trying to figure out where their thing fits inside of it, and you don't have, for example, like APIs that are open that might be required, or pricing models that might be required to make all of the people in the ecosystem fit correctly. And it's not because they don't want it to happen, it's because it's an afterthought right now because it's so new that it's just a big moving target, and everybody's trying to figure out where they land inside of it. So
I mean, we didn't learn about them until the MVP summit this year. Like, it's that new.
Yeah, so it will eventually get there, but yeah, we're trying to figure it out. And I think there's going to be an added cost for folks along the way as well that gets passed down to the individual because it's not cheap. Let's just be honest about it. Like the AI stuff burns a lot of dinosaurs, especially like the newer models that are good with coding, like the Chat GPT 4.0 model that just came out does reasoning, which basically takes, and it's like a grand oversimplification of the whole thing. But when you type in your chat, it goes through that decision process and comes up with the output. In the new version of it, it does that in more of a decision tree where it tries to figure out the problem and then does like a check and balance on that solution. And it keeps doing this over and over kind of recursively until it figures out the best like result for that. And it calls it what was it called? A chain of thought. So this chain of thought thing is expensive, and it takes a long time too. So like it's one of those things that is in preview right now, and the cost on it is something that's gonna have to get paid for by the individual, because it's like big companies can't afford to foot the bill on their own. Like you couldn't. It's it's using so many tokens that it's pretty nuts. So we'll have to see where that lands. It's also new, but eventually is the. It's not. It depends. I didn't say it depends. Eventually, we'll get there. All right. So that's all we've got for the show today, folks. We will continue next week.